Chapter 31 Industrial Robots. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Actually, the market of sweeping robots has already achieved good sales performance in the first and second-tier cities in China and the economically developed coastal areas, but in contrast, there are still many people who have no desire to buy. I believe that even everyone present, there must be some people who are not optimistic about the prospects of this product, but this is mainly because they do not fully understand it. So we are going to dissect the sweeping robot next, and get to know the sweeping robot comprehensively and quickly from the inside. From the perspective of the structure of the sweeping robot, most sweeping robots adopt a frame structure, and the cylinder is divided into different spatial structures, which are basically divided into three compartments. The first one, located at the front end, mainly assembles the computer board of the robot control system, various wiring boards, various sensors, power batteries, and switches. The second compartment is for garbage storage, mainly dust boxes and related components, including middle brushes and vacuum cleaners. The third compartment is for assembling various moving parts, drive motors, transmission mechanisms, side brush motors, counterweight components, etc. From a functional point of view, the core technology of the sweeping robot is to perceive the surrounding environment, then plan the walking path, effectively traverse various areas, and complete the cleaning work. Its important equipment consists of computer, infrared sensor, distance sensor, drop sensor, collision sensor, IP camera, fan, gyroscope, driving wheel, brushless motor, power supply, dust box, etc. And our products have several characteristics and advantages. The eyes of the sweeping robot. The sensing system consists of two parts, the distance measuring system of the sweeper and the posture adjustment system of the car body. Sensors, side wall sensors, rear refill sensors, dust box detection sensors, and cliff sensors on the bottom edge of the front and other systems. On the one hand, the distance sensor can judge whether there are obstacles in the cleaning process, and avoid them in time if there are obstacles. If you turn left, you have the left avoidance rule, and when you turn right, you have the right avoidance rule. If the sweeping robot has a better sensor system, it can clean the area around the obstacle while avoiding the obstacle in time. Moreover, this intelligent sweeping robot uses an intelligent program written by the boss himself. It has a very high level of automation and intelligence. It can cruise and clean randomly, or it can clean on a fixed route. It can automatically return to charge when the battery is too low. A power bank function is also designed. Through the boundary monument operation, the sweeping robot can quickly come to the user's side, and then use the sweeping robot to charge the mobile phone. From a horizontal comparison of competing products from other manufacturers, our products can be said to be more intelligent, and the large-scale sweeping robot Xiaohao has more powerful functions. What we can do now is to hurry up and produce before the expo, and solve problems in time if there are any problems. Luo Songtang looked at the people sitting there, sighed, and said, our Daxia home appliance market is a mixed bag right now, and our products are competitive, so there will definitely be a lot of orders after the expo, and everyone should arrange their shifts reasonably. The warm sunshine in the morning of Sichuan shone on his body. Qing only felt that the moisture in his body was slowly dried by the sun, and he felt a little tired from the warmth. Luo Songtang still has two brushes. Let's take a look at the research room. In the not-so-spacious laboratory, there are many remains of other brands of dishwashers. Let's try to test it again. The production department is in a hurry, and the materials must be handed over to them as soon as possible. They still need to adjust the equipment and prepare materials, so there is no delay. Luo Yunjia waved his hand and said, I said, Brother Jia, we came here to test it a few times without eating much breakfast. The donkeys in the production team can do this. Someone complained with black lines on the side. Stop talking nonsense, work quickly. Zhang Yunjia gave this person a blank look, and then said to the others, most of us are young people who have just left school, and the basic salary given by the boss is 8,000. I heard that the director of the company's operation department the monthly salary is only 8,000, and we also have profit sharing after the success of the product. Compared with other graduates of the same major, it is simply incomparable. Those of my classmates who went to big factories like Jelly complained about rough management, low salary, and too many things. When the home appliance project becomes popular this time, why don't we just go to the graduation party with our heads up? Jia Gu said so. Gu Qing also nodded at the other side of the factory area. Oh, I didn't go to the commendation meeting last time, and I missed the opportunity to pretend to be 13, alas. Swiping the screen again, I watched Zhang Tianhao's robot vacuum laboratory for a while, and only came back to my senses when the sun was getting brighter. After the entertainment is over, he will naturally start working, but this time he did not go to his underground laboratory, but to a new laboratory that has just been built not long ago, on the top floor of the scientific research building, well, the 6th floor. In line with the idea of exercising, he went up the stairs, opened the door, entered the small room, put on work clothes and a mask, and then enter the clean laboratory, bright space, neatly arranged instruments, truly spotless ground, and the experimental arm robot I made in the underground laboratory, which was placed in the center of the workbench, with many instruments and components beside it. These instrument components are either noble instruments with limited purchases, or ultra precision machining of top foreign machine tools to reach 0.01 micron precision components. The robot is designed to use an electric drive system. There are low inertia, high torque AC and DC servo motors and their supporting servo drives. No need for energy conversion, easy to use, flexible control. There is a sophisticated transmission mechanism installed behind the motor, but the cost is a bit high. Although the shape is not much different from ordinary robotic arms, it uses the technology of the Guardian series of mechs, so the functionality and accuracy can be said to be a product that crushes the same cost. He also has to assemble these parts, and then input the intelligent program tuned and optimized by Xuanwu, and then let it be in the production workshop to be responsible for the production of the intelligent robotic arm in the intelligent dishwasher. I hope you don't have frequent brain twitches like Tony's two little guys. Well, you probably won't. After all, there is no artificial intelligence, it's just an intelligent program. Shaking his head, shaking off the flying thoughts in his mind, Gu Qing calmed down and began to assemble the accessories. While Boss Gu was working hard, the security room at the gate of the factory was snoring like thunder, so noisy that Fu Dalong and other security personnel chose to either stand guard outside or patrol the park. Although they are all people who have stayed in the army, snoring and the like are very common, but it is really rare to snore in a rhythmic manner. P.S. Ask for tickets, hey. Chapter 32 Fishing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 20s is really an embarrassing age. You have just walked out of school, and you obviously feel that you are still a child, but the world has taken a real look at you right away. What makes people feel distressed is that the sword is not properly worn, and you go out, you who are already in the rivers and lakes can only sigh and bear the malice of the whole world against you. In your 20s, you have nothing but youth. At the beginning, you had dreams, dared to say them, and wanted to do them. But later, you only then did I realize that your youth itself seems to be a mistake. Because of your youth, you were deprived of the right to speak, as if everything you said was wrong. In the office where Gu Qing hadn't sat a few times, Huang Chaoran said with some decadence, his eyes were a little dim, and he pressed his temple with his right hand, and said, I used to know that society is a pool of muddy water, but I always believed that there would be clear springs, but those people yesterday really made me feel sick, and my mouth was full of oil. But dressed up right. Have to. Hearing these words, Gu Qing, as someone who has been there, naturally knows that the little friend may be the uncle who came. Boys also have a few days of low pressure every month, and they are in a bad mood. In addition, they may have seen something unclean last night, so I feel awkward. Although Boss Gu is not very good at comforting and enlightening others, fortunately he has a lot of knowledge. Taking a sip of the wolfberry water in the thermos, he sighed with memory in his eyes. This person will experience many things in his life, decades, which are obviously absurd but also have a bit of philosophy. For example, once I just got off the train, I was held back by an auntie, young man. Why don't you come to live with me, air conditioning, Wi-Fi, beautiful women, very cheap. Me, auntie, I can't stop, my train is about to arrive. Aunt, how long is the train? Me, 13 minutes to go, aunt, in time. In time. So you think you're a 13-minute person? If you think you are, then go, if you don't, then do your best and don't think about it. It's really a waste of 10 minutes to listen to what you have to say. As a joker, Lao Huang doesn't know this old trick. Okay, just complaining, what time is it? 4 p.m. Then they should get on the plane, and it's finally over. Huang Chaoren spread out on the seat like a deflated inflatable doll. Gu Qing smiled, handed over a cup of warm wolfberry water, and said, "Tell me, how far has that Zhangda's offensive against you progressed?" "What is an offensive?" "That is a strategy." "Not right either. That's called capture and bribery. When it comes to sensitive issues, Huang is just awe-inspiring." "Okay, how far has it been bought?" "Physically speaking, after last night and night, we have done everything between us except what we shouldn't do. But psychologically, he didn't even pierce my outermost layer of protection, not even a sesame seed no size." Minister Huang patted his heart, and said impassionedly in front of his big boss, "Even if the rice market is booming now, even if Zhangde promised me a high-ranking official and rich salary, this will not affect the revolutionary struggle between me and everyone. I heard it's 1 million, 5 million after it's done." Gu Qing said abruptly, cold sweat. It popped out in a jiffy. "How do you know this?" Huang Chaoren was a little dazed. "Guess, usually for this kind of thing, in the novel, you have to get 1 million or something and get a bait first." "Well, I definitely won't tell you that. Boundary Monument is listening." "Well, that's probably the case, but I didn't agree, because you have been busy with the projects in the factory during that time, so I discussed it with Dong Qi, and I plan to go with the flow, fish first, and wait for you. Let's talk when we're done here." After speaking, Lao Huang's expression became much more relaxed. College students who have just left their homes are actually a little reckless in their hearts. Most of the three views are still righteous, they don't believe in evil, and they don't accept bribes. Their values have not experienced the ups and downs of society and intrigues, so they will appear a little out of place. Adapt, Gu Qing, who had superimposed memories of 2 lifetimes, said with emotion at this time, "It is right to bring him to the public, but we do have to pay attention to confidentiality and loyalty issues. Well, if we sign the contract now, we will startle the snake. Wait a while time." Minister Huang nodded and continued to spread out on the seat. He was really tired, leaving Huang Chaoren lying around in the office. Boss Gu went to the production workshop to watching each part being produced on the assembly line, and then entering the workshop, various mechanical arms and industrial robots are assembled and welded together, finally tested, and then installed on the mold, which is another round of testing. Today, industrialization represents the progress of a civilization, and it is the lifeblood of a nation. Great Xia is so far the only country in the world with a complete industrial system and abundant raw materials. Because of high labor costs and environmental protection tax issues in the United States, a large outflow of manufacturing industries is inevitable and irreversible, unless the citizens of the United States are willing to cut their salaries in half. And Uncle Sam, the nickname and anthropomorphic image of the United States, ZF funding is cut in half, and the world's largest foreign exported industry has received many high-tech industries from affiliates such as Neon and Banhan. Therefore, from an economic point of view, Neon and Banhan can also be regarded as the younger brothers of the United States, because their industries are actually there are a lot of American capital holding shares. With extremely low labor costs and extremely low tax rates, in the first few years, it could be said that there was no tax at all, and now there are many preferential policies, starting from the low-end industrial chain, gradually occupying from mid-range to high-end, and how to upgrade the industry. Highly intelligent factories are indispensable, no matter how smart and meticulous a person is. He cannot work without eating or drinking, and the processing of many precision parts also requires the participation of robots. Manager Luo, how do technical employees feel about using these new industrial robots and robotic arms? Gu Qing asked Luo Songtang at the side. As soon as this was mentioned, the other party's face was full of joy, and he couldn't hide his praise. High precision, low failure rate, and easy to learn to use and operate, but some machines are made abroad, and later maintenance costs more money. There are a lot more, but the flaws do not conceal the advantages. With the new products, it is estimated that the output will at least double compared to the past when the shifts are not stopped, and as the technology matures and optimizes, the workers are skilled, the output should increase, and the yield rate will increase. Just for the manufacture of the simplest small sweeping robot, the monthly output should be at least 10,000. The reason is that there are not enough production lines, and each model of product has its own production parameter adjustment, which is limited by the scale of our factory and cannot be mass-produced. Chapter 33 Exhibition Planning. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Although the output is indeed a problem, there is output at any rate, not zero, which cannot be produced. Qing had an idea early on. The money he earned for stud factory construction, purchase of equipment, and construction of research laboratories, 90 million can only be said to be high quality, small-scale troubles, and some parts still need to be manufactured. The expansion of the scale depends on the sales of the products this time. Collecting deposits and finding bank loans are all ways to get money. However, everything is going well. There are no major problems with the 4 products of the 2 series, but the precision of the mold needs to be adjusted, and the functions are stable. Then there is a new round of testing and equipment debugging. Just produce, experiment, find out the problem, solve the debugging, produce. Until August 1st, the Daxia Intelligent Robot Industry Expo was held. When Qing was eating fried buns in front of his company's booth, he still felt a little dazed. He obviously went through the rehearsal process before, but he didn't realize it until now. Whether it is a mule or a horse, it is finally about to be pulled out, because this is the first exposition, and it is an official event finalized by Daxia. The scale of the exposition is very large, and the opening ceremony is even more lively and grand. Many familiar characters from TV came, whether in politics or business. Among them Jack Ma and Lu Qiangdong were surrounded by the crowd. Of course, these 2 industries also have robots, such as sorting robots in large smart warehouses, smart cars for food delivery, various cloud smart programs based on large databases and the law of throwing money and robbing people, and so on. They have too much capital, and they operate countless industries. Today's high-tech expo, tomorrow's agricultural exhibition, the day after tomorrow environmental protection conference, and the day after tomorrow food safety conference. This is very dangerous, at least in Qing's view. It is too tasteless. Capital is profit-seeking, so it will occupy all profitable industries as much as possible to extract profits, and then expand, make money, expand. That's why it is said that capital has no borders, and it even has no race. As long as there is greed and profit, it will be there. Thoughts were rolling in my mind, and after thinking about it, these 2 crocodiles disappeared after talking a few words surrounded by the cameras. Only then did the leaders and the media shift their attention and began to pay attention to other technology industries and scientific research institutions. Of course, we should pay attention to the products of leading companies and institutions at the front of the expo and with the largest booths. Of course, according to the usual practice, after the leaders and the media have finished shopping around, they will take a few more steps to the sites of these small and medium-sized enterprises, shake hands, look at the products, express some emotions, and then take pictures. Everyone is happy. And the first round of steps, saying this is a bit blunt, but it is true. But today's expo is the first intelligent robot industry expo in Daxia after all, and Daxia's central media will interview and shoot the whole process, and some scenes will be on the program with the highest ratings every night without accident. So a lot of people have a dream of, well, a dream of becoming famous overnight. You have come to work in our Jojo company since you graduated from university. Are you nervous today? There may be a reporter from the central media later. Qing asked with a smile. Zhang Tianhao was the closest, wiped the sweat from his forehead, and said loudly, I was nervous at first, but after setting up the exhibition, I was covered in sweat, and suddenly I didn't feel nervous. Don't be nervous. Why are you trembling? Just now, when Jack Ma and other big shots were crowded in front of you, you stood on the seat and watched. Luo Yunjiao laughed and exposed Zhang Tianhao's lies. Here we come. The leaders and the media are about to arrive at our home appliance area. A project team member ran over panting. When the weather is officially hot in August, although the expo has air conditioning indoors, people's hearts are still a little hot. Qing nodded, handed the young man a bottle of mineral water, turned his head and said to the crowd, after polishing the matter, check whether the temporary waterproof glass under our exhibition is firmly attached. Have you changed the rain boots on your feet, so as not to pollute other places later? It's working, it's working. Zhang Tianhao is the most active one. After all, the waterproof glass on the ground of his exhibition is made for his products. Gu Qing, on the other hand, turned on his mobile phone and hacked into the security monitoring system of the expo by means of Xuanwu. The screens on the mobile phone kept switching, and finally found the movements of the leaders and the media. After all, according to his plan, the most critical step should not be early or late, and the leaders must be present in person to be effective. As for what plan? You can see it right away. Anyway, the other employees who know about this are a little flustered. After all, it is easy to go in and pick up soap for a few days when making troubles at an expo of this scale these days. Gu Qing seemed calm. Looking at the screen, the leaders walked in step by step until he looked up. In his field of vision, a leader whom he had seen on TV was about to walk to the booth, and some of the cameras had already pointed to his own booth. Only then did Gu Qing softly say, "Okay, let's pour." Poof, the originally clean and smooth floor of the booth was instantly stained, with dirty colored liquid flowing slowly, and a not-so-pleasant stench rising into the sky. Grass, why is it so smelly all of a sudden? Wow, this smell, did the toilet explode? People who were close could not help but glance around, and soon located the booth of Kyushu Technology. The leaders and reporters who were smiling or serious were naturally the fish in the pond. Looking around, a few steps away, there was a booth full of sewage, and on this sewage, there was a group of young men, moving equipment. Yang Donghua has been up and down in the officialdom for decades, and he has never seen any scene. When encountering such a thing, he did not show disgust at the first time. He walked forward quickly, with a friendly attitude and a concerned tone. "Are you okay? Don't worry, the staff will come to clean up the pollution for you right away." Outside the relatively small booth, Yang Gaoguan's concern was naturally captured by countless cameras. Of course, the signboard of Kyushu Technology and the frowning Gu Qing were also captured. The scene information is loaded, please pay attention to the sensor status. Point 3 large sweeping robots with white bodies and a new look made a mechanical sound, and the sensor on the booth wall flashed a green light. The functions of cleaning, sweeping, disinfection, and fresh air have already been preset, so the intelligent strong cleaning mode is starting. Please pay attention to protecting precious items, animals, and infants. The mechanical sound sounded, then I saw the water flow and the breeze blowing around the 3 barrel-shaped robots, and as the 3 robots moved slowly, the sewage on the booth floor was quickly sucked clean. P.S. Thank you for your dreams come true. Kuxiao everyone for your votes. Hey, good night. Chapter 34. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Then the cleaner under the robot chassis starts to work, and the 18 Elbin capacity is enough to clean up the dirt. Then I saw a trash can starting to spin in circles. After all, there is garbage everywhere, so it must be clean from the bottom. There are 3 rows of side brushes working under the chassis. The top of the robot has also opened the spray head, and the air freshener is sprayed in the air, in just a few tens of seconds. Although it can't be said to have a brand new look, the booth of Kyushu Technology has been cleaned in 7s and 80s, and the sweeping robot began to clean the corners slowly and meticulously. Clap clap clap. Yang Donghua applauded first, and the relevant personnel and the media behind him naturally followed. "Young man, is this your company's product?" The senior official asked kindly and with some curiosity. Gu Qing showed a little bit of comfort and embarrassment. "It's me, the home appliance product of Kyushu Technology Company, the sweeping robot. Just now, the employee slipped and knocked over the sewage collector, so there was an accident. I'm sorry for causing trouble to everyone." After finishing speaking, Boss Gu lowered his head, which he hadn't lowered for a long time. Yang Gaoguan smiled and comforted. "It's okay, young man, this sweeping robot of your company seems to be very powerful. It can clean up such dirty sewage. Did you use your own technology? Own technology?" As soon as Boss Gu rolled his eyes, he knew that this person might have seen the way, and he seemed willing to help him, as long as it was a technology with independent property rights. Immediately, Gu Qing nodded heavily, and said, "It's our company's own technology, whether it's pollution cleaning or fresh air, as well as the intelligent control program, it's all done step by step by us, absolutely independently. Real? It's so clean. Didn't you use a certain country's technology? Some people whose ears were close to each other discussed. Very good, we in Daxia need people who can endure and engage in scientific research, and we also need companies that are willing to insist on independent research and development and innovation, Junguo said, and patted Qing on the shoulder. Hearing the words, the faces of the accompanying people became more serious. Well, the media cameras were also much closer. Generally speaking, at this time, Boss Gu should hit the snake with the stick, and should say something nice, such as comprehending the spirit, and let everyone carry the floury dumplings, but, in that case, today's planning can only get a passing grade. Therefore, Boss Gu said with a simple and honest smile, if we can't sell one of them, our company will go bankrupt soon. If we sell technical assets or something, we should be able to get back some of the cost. In this regard, foreign bids are higher. A lot of. As soon as the voice fell, the place immediately cooled down. Everyone's first reaction was, this person's brain was kicked by a donkey. So disregarding the occasion, talking nonsense. There are also some people with financial capital who have a little ambiguity in their eyes. Yang Guodong's face was also cold, but he quickly said, we will not bury any valuable products in Daxia. This year's expo is also held to give everyone a greater opportunity to expose your products. The stage is always here. As long as the product is good enough. After finishing speaking, Gao Guanyang did not wave away, but looked at Qing. He is well-mannered, and the conversation must have a beginning and an end. Boss Gu said sincerely, some parts of our company's technology are already ahead of the world, but we are short of profit. Yes, isn't Kyushu Technologies, Boundary Monument, leading other optimization manufacturers in the world? There is nothing wrong with what Qing said. Wow! But when he finished speaking, the venue suddenly became noisy, and many people looked at him with joking or even mocking expressions. What a brazen young man, just like those liar leather bag companies that only advertised back then, talking nonsense. In the team accompanied by Gao Guanyang, a young boy asked his own question, your company is not well known, how did you come to the forefront of the world and lead the world? Qing smiled, nodded, and said sincerely, although our company is not well known, it is a technical partner of Xiaowei, Rice, and Ijia. Our products have just come out, so naturally there is not much publicity, but another product of the company that everyone may have heard of, or is currently using, is an Android optimization software, Jianbei. He simply didn't intend to whet everyone's appetites, and Boss Gu went straight to the showdown. The current installation rate of Boundary Monument, in the Android phone camp, has already broken through the 60% mark, which is even more universal than the previous Temple Run. Wow! There was another uproar. The Boundary Monument turned out to be their product. Boundary Monument. I'm an Apple user and I haven't used it before. Grasshold. It is this software that allows me to use my mobile phone more comfortably than the previous Apple. Seeing everyone's reaction, Qing went on to say to the senior official in front of him, technological innovation is our Kyushu Technologies' insistence, but there is no way to sell and make a profit without contacts and channels for products, so we can only delay your time for a while. Terribly sorry. Yes, there is no publicity channel. No matter how much the company's trolls post on the internet, you have to pay for buying appliances, unlike software, which can be installed for free. For so many years, none of the brands such as Hai and Jelly have been hyped up by the Navy. When Yang Guodong heard about Boundary Monument, he naturally understood the Kyushu technology in front of him. He looked at Qing and said, dare to innovate and practice. Your company's Boundary Monument has a very high level of optimization. My child's mobile phone was originally stuck and had to be replaced, but after installing this software, it can be used smoothly again. Really? Good. He noticed the introduction on the badge on Qing's chest, and continued, your company's optimization technology can prove that you have a deep understanding of the operating software of Android phones. I hope you will continue to work hard, and even create our own domestic system. After finishing speaking, the senior official turned his head and said to the person next to him, "We cannot ignore the development needs of small and medium-sized enterprises. Every powerful technology company grows from a small business at the beginning. If the product technology of Kyushu Technology Company and if the quality is okay, then it should be highly recommended. In the future, when reviewing products and encountering good products, they should put their booths in the front to get more exposure." When the leader spoke, the accompanying people naturally nodded in agreement. After speaking, Yang Gaoguan stretched out his hand, patted the young man in front of him, and said, "Come on, young man. Well, thank you for your concern. Gu Qing knows that his products have finally caught the eyes of some people. Maybe he can have a little picture of the news tonight, huh? P.S. Try to avoid sensitive words and sensitive descriptions, so some descriptions are problematic, and you can automatically fill them in." Chapter 35 Cooperation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. No matter how long the advertisement is, there will be an end. The leader's schedule is naturally tight, so soon, the crowd at Kyushu Technology's booth gradually thinned out, but fortunately, some self-media and tourists stayed. The self-media is naturally thoughtful. Boundary Monument, this national optimization software, one does not advertise, referring to traditional advertisements such as TV and posters, and the other does not charge. It is simply a wonderful work among many software, but this strange work is still very useful. There are many people who have to change their mobile phones because of the freezing problem of their Android phones. It is because of this software that the replacement time is delayed. Of course, there are still many people who like it, and the performance is accelerated. Domestic mobile phones worth 2,000 to 3,000 yuan are actually smoother to use than foreign phones worth 5,000 to 6,000 yuan, and playing games is even more optimized. However, few people know about the company of this software. And there is even very little information on the company's official website. Today, the big boss of their company actually appeared, which is considered news, and the boss looks very young. Watching a large group of people leave, Gu Qing's eyes also calmed down. Looking at the other people who were still excited, he smiled and said, "I'm back to my senses, everyone is gone." Ah. Boss, is the leader of Pudong talking to us just now? Zhang Tianhao was still a little excited. After all, this may be the top of the rich and powerful that ordinary people can get in touch with, especially the leaders of places like Pudong. Gu Qing nodded and said, "Didn't you see the media with long guns and short guns? Only by this person can there be such a battle. This kind of top leader is not very old, and I'm afraid he will be able to." Zhang Tianhao said excitedly. Stop, there are still a lot of people here, don't let the media hear about it." Gu Qing immediately interrupted the young man's fantasy, nipping the danger of 404 in the bud. "Excuse me, is your Kyushu Technology the company that developed the Android mobile phone software, Boundary Monument?" A girl with a camera on her neck came to the booth and asked. It's just that she was just one step ahead, and other colleagues also trotted over, and some tourists who had just watched the excitement also squeezed over. "I am Billy's up master fire skill. Mr. Gu, we are. Is the sweeping robot of your company really capable of cleaning so much?" Facing the suddenly crowded booth, Gu Qing and his party were all young people. They had never seen so many people rushing to ask questions, and they were all at a loss. "Please don't rush in, please line up in 2 lines, tourists who need to inquire about products line up on my left, media friends please line up on my right." Gu Qing picked up the small loudspeaker and roared. After the crowd was diverted and lined up, everyone felt the pressure was greatly relieved and breathed a sigh of relief, because the team brought in are all young people involved in the development. They can basically solve the problems of consulting products, and sometimes even some professional terms. Tourists will be a little confused. When dealing with the media, Gu Qing could only show his old face. He originally thought it should be easy, but after chatting for a few times, he also got annoyed. These media people, just like checking household registration, ask everything. Gu Qing can only ask this kind of question 3 times without answering, and then ask a lot about Boundary Monument. Some people even asked, "Your company's products do not support the Apple system. It can be said that the technology is not strong enough, but it does not support foreign mobile phones that also run the Android system." Is there any problem to consider? For this kind of question that is easy to break out big melons. News, Boss Gu smiled and shook his head to indicate the next one. It's a pity that the next person still asked about boundary monument. Obviously it's a piece of physical hardware. At the booths of home smart machine manufacturers, all the questions were about software and mobile phones, but I can't spray these whether I understand the rules or not. Just when Qing smiled and motioned the other party to talk about the booth products, someone finally rescued him. It is a staff member of the exposition organizer. Because it is an official event, these media people still dare not run on these staff. The person who came showed his work ID, and then said, "Hello, Mr. Gu, I am the organizer of the expo. We have cooperation with the e-commerce platform. I don't know if your company's products need to be put on the e-commerce platform. If so, I can help your company contact the representatives of these platforms and discuss cooperation matters with each other." Come on, after dozing off for a long time, the pillow finally arrived. This is what Qing wants. Without a little strength, ordinary small companies discussing cooperation with these platforms will simply be picked up to death by Zhou. It is true that there is no commission for transactions on the shelves of products on the platform, but you need to be exposed, otherwise relying on natural traffic. Among hundreds of millions of products, how many people can see your product, unless you encounter all the hot words? But even so, the platform can block your hot words. Therefore, advertising positions, recommended positions, top search positions, product-related positions, regional promotion, targeted promotion of industry products, big data promotion, these are all clearly priced. Many small business owners open online stores, and the initial investment is not storage fees, but advertising fees, which is so strong, and to avoid Zhou Poppy's first pickpocketing, it must rely on policy. Only official cooperation projects such as helping agriculture, rural areas, and college students to start a business can get good advertising space and promotion from the platform for free. As the first Daxia Intelligent Robot Industry Expo, the official has always cooperated with e-commerce and media to provide cooperation for participating companies or research institutes. The products that can participate in the exhibition, no matter how poor they are above the level of quality, and the platform can also obtain high-quality product suppliers, forming a good relationship and a win-win situation. Of course, after careful calculation, N wins. The organization department has one word of mouth and influence. Consumers can have more high-quality products, the company can develop better with funds, and Daxia's competitiveness in this industry has increased. Cooperation is discussed in a conference room. Representatives of relevant personnel from several major platforms were present, as well as bosses or managers of other companies. After entering the door, someone came up and sent a few documents to Boss Gu, and then led him to a seat. The atmosphere in the meeting room is relatively quiet, and from time to time someone whispers or communicates, and the voice is relatively low. After all, the person sitting here is either the boss or the executive, and it would be a blood loss if he provoked some difficult existences because of his lack of quality. Boss Gu sat in his seat, looked at the participants, and then focused on the documents. The documents of Ali Platform, Jindong Platform, and Jing CC are naturally at the top. Chapter 36. What way? You are listening at novelfull.audio. I thought it would be my turn to talk about cooperation soon, but Boss Gu was careless. There are quite a lot of companies in Daxia. The booth of Kyushu Science and Technology Company is at the back, so Boss Gu has to queue up if he wants to talk about cooperation. After eating a lunchbox provided by the organizer at noon, Qing finally met Taobei's representative team. Yes, we talk about each company. If you want to launch products on multiple platforms, you have to arrange time to talk with other platforms. There are 3 people on Taobei's side. The leader is a middle-aged man with dangerous hair volume, named Wei Zhongquan. The other 2 are a man and a woman. The man is wearing a suit and looks elegant, and the woman is also wearing a formal suit. She looks young, about 30 years old, because we have dealt with a lot of people before, so there was no polite greetings after the meeting, but Wei Zhongquan, the leader, said straight to the point, "We all know about your company's situation at the exhibition, and the organizer of the expo also gave us information about your company's products. In terms of smart home appliances, on our platform, Medi alone had a sales volume of 96.36 million yuan in June, ranking first in the industry, with a transaction volume of 440,000 yuan also ranking first. Airmate, which came in second, had sales of 67.26 million yuan in June. Philips ranked third, with sales reaching 47.92 million yuan in June. Our platform is very optimistic about your company's Titanium series home appliances, and Mr. Gu should also know that our Taobei platform is the largest e-commerce platform, so we have enough exposure and support to help your company's products sell well. Taobei's channel and number of users, we naturally know that it is the first in the industry, so this is also the reason why our company chooses your company to discuss cooperation first. Gu Qingying agreed. It sounds like dog licking, but as Daxia's #1 platform in China, Wei Zhongquan has seen a lot of dog licking. However, in his view, no matter how much the partner licks, it should not be a little kind when it comes to cooperation. He nodded and said, "We have seen your company's qualifications and inquired about your company's factory, and found that your company's output may not be able to cope with too many orders, which will cause great distress to both of us. And if your company wants to expand the production workshop, MHO, your company's funds should be completely impossible to be sufficient. As a future partner, our company is willing to help your company solve financial troubles and deepen the cooperative relationship between them." What does Mr. Gu think? Deepen the partnership? How to deepen? Give money to buy stocks, as long as you have me. Boss Gu sighed and replied, "Manager Wei, since you have investigated our Kyushu technology, you should know that Xia Wei and Rice have also made such a request, but I did not agree. At this time and at that time, software development with a genius like Mr. Gu naturally requires less funds, but the hardware business requires a lot of funds. We rely on Ali and have enough supplier partners. Mr. Gu should seriously think about the incomparable capital flow." Wei Zhongquan looked at Gu Qing with a serious expression of caring for you. Since the establishment of Ali Finance, it has embarked on a high-speed road with various lending businesses. The huge capital flow needs even greater profits to satisfy, therefore, a large amount of funds are invested in potential enterprises. Yes, it is not required to hold shares, but only to allow Ali to come in and take a share. Gu Qingka is well aware of what Ali is doing in other industries. In the first quarter, hello, everyone, and then gradually increase investment, increase the right to speak, and finally airborne management. Of course, this set of operations is also used by other capitals, and the world is as black as crows. I'm sorry, but for some reasons, our company is temporarily unable to accept capital injections from your company or other companies. Gu Qing said a little disappointed. Is it because of Xia Wei and their partners? That's a pity, but when allowing external investment, I hope Mr. Gu can inform me that Ali will give every partner the best treatment. Wei Zhongquan said, and handed Gu Qing a business card. He is no longer Taobei's manager, but Ali's hound. Gu Qing took the business card with a smile, and then said, "I hope we can cooperate happily, so can I listen to the cooperation plan prepared by your company now?" Wei Zhongquan nodded, and then the assistant beside him handed Gu Qing 2 documents, and then said, "This document is a related cooperation plan prepared by Taobei for our partners in the home appliance industry. This plan has been negotiated and reviewed with relevant parties, and it belongs to the public version of the template plan. It is mainly for the participation qualifications and recommendation positions for the 11.11 and 11.11 and 12.12. I believe Mr. Gu can know the scale of the number of customers and transaction volume of these 3 festivals. For these 3 major events, Gu Qing is naturally clear, and also understands how terrifying 11 will be in the future." He nodded and carefully reviewed the plan. At this moment, in Boss Gu's eyes, the most important thing is all kinds of promotion positions, but it is precisely this benefit that has been weighed out of value, that is to say, when signing a cooperation contract. The degree of acceptance and contribution is different, and the support obtained will also be slightly different. If the exclusive partner of any e-commerce platform, Dead Road, disagrees with these conditions, then the promotion position must be bought by yourself. The charge specification for the large image carousel section, 250,000 yuan/day, the charging standard for small screen advertisements on the right side of the big image carousel, 120,000 yuan/day, advertisement fee specification for the click-to-conversion interface of the ad space below the big picture carousel, 100,000 yuan/day. In addition to these advertising slots, there are 2 banner advertising slots when the interface of the home page is pulled down, and each banner displays 3 sellers. The charging standard for these advertising display slots is 80,000 yuan per day. As for other aspects of Taobei's homepage, such as Taobei's headlines, there are good products, shopping and other small sections. It depends on product sales and product word of mouth. Because there are so many participating companies, this promotion position is in short supply, so it is impossible to get a very good position without paying. Mr. Gu should understand. Wei Zhongquan said seriously. Naturally. After all, we are talking about cooperation. How can only one party pay? Moreover, it is very kind of your company to provide half-price storage space and express support for Cainiao logistics cooperation. Gu Qing smiled and nodded. Since this is the case, I don't know what options your company agrees to, such as a 3-year exclusive e-commerce cooperation platform, logistics partners, storage service providers. Wei Zhongquan said, looking at Gu Qing like a butcher. The slaughtered animals are average. Gu Qing narrowed his eyes. Wei Zhongquan's eyes reminded him of some bad memories. Chapter 37 Uncle's Driving. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Which options to choose? After all, this is the first cooperation. Let's start from the very beginning. It is enough to have the qualifications to participate in the 11.11 and 11.11 and 12.12. If you recommend a seat, it depends on your company's arrangement at that time. When Wei Zhongquan heard this, his eyes suddenly turned cold, but he quickly recovered, and then asked, Mr. Gu, are you sure? Gu Qing nodded. He said with some regret, that's really a pity. After the first time, there will be subsequent cooperation. Everything is difficult at the beginning. I admire Boss Ma's business philosophy, and I look forward to more and deeper exchanges and cooperation with your company after this successful cooperation. Wei Zhongquan nodded slightly, picked up a document and said, if there is no problem, then let's sign it. No problem. Because it is a template contract, the signing process is very fast, and it only takes a few minutes to complete. The 4 shook hands with each other, and after taking pictures, Gu Qing turned and left the small office. Behind him, watching his leaving back, Wei Zhongquan, who was still smiling 1 second, turned cold the next second. The young people nowadays really care about eating but not playing. They even refused our Ali's investment. Does he think he is a boss? Boss, the relationship between others and Xia Wei seems to be pretty good. Let me say a word, the next company is coming. The woman next to Wei Zhong persuaded. The middle-aged bald man grunted twice before regaining his smile and welcoming the next partner. Walking out of the small office, Gu Qing felt a lot of emotion in his heart. This is obviously an official expo, and the purpose of bringing the giants here is to let everyone benefit from each other, and the starting point is good, but the giants' appetite is too great. It can also be said to be a conspiracy, either to do business, or to accept capital injection to get better treatment. How many small and medium-sized companies can hold on to it? Or can you cruelly reject Ali's investment? I wish I could, and when these small and medium-sized enterprises grow up in the future, even if a few out of 100 grow into industry leaders, Ali, which holds a large amount of equity, will naturally become the overlord in an industry. Monopoly is what capital will inevitably do, because capital is profit-seeking, and monopoly can reap the greatest profits, with a mentality of seeing the world. Boss Gu, who has not yet become a capital, queued up to Jin Dong's small office again. In the evening, when the first day of the expo was coming to an end, he walked out of Jing Cici's small office. Back at their company's booth, the young people who were full of energy in the morning are now slumped on the benches, swiping their phones in boredom. A young man saw Gu Qing and hurriedly greeted his companions. Boss, how are you? In the workplace, it is a big taboo for new employees to ask the big boss how the contract is going, but Gu Qing, when this group of young people came to the factory, they worked together on scientific research and tackled key problems. Zhang Tianhao was even more dog-legged and fanned aside. Gu Qing looked at everyone, shook his head with a smile and said, everything is going well. Our products will be launched on Taobei, Jingdong, and Jingxixi's three-party platforms, and we will participate in the follow-up festivals such as the 11th celebration. Grass holding. So strong. Boss's spleen. Zhang Tianhao was very unqualified for 3 consecutive times. Others are also very happy. If the product can be listed on 3 platforms and participate in several large-scale events, then as long as the quality passes the test and the marketing strategy is good enough, wouldn't it be worrying about sales? They all have dividends. Although there are not many, it is still a dream, cuckoo. Someone's stomach growled inappropriately. Boss Gu smiled and waved his hand. Clean up, I'll treat you tonight. Although he has seen the disgusting side of capital, Gu Qing is still relatively relieved that all the things that should be done can be completed smoothly today. People are like iron and rice is like steel. When we got to the restaurant, the young people who just said they had a big meal didn't order much. Is this enough to eat? Vice President Dong approved a lot of money, and I can't order 1 book, so let's order 2 pages first. Boss Gu waved his hand, and the waiter recorded it with a smile. Because of the large number of people, including some members of the research team, they were divided into 2 large tables, and the food was enjoyable. After eating, because the expo was still 2 days away, Gu Qing took everyone back to the hotel to rest, and did not let the group of young people take a walk outside to digest their food. After all, if something happens, it will be really troublesome, especially if there is some negative news. At this time, it will be a blood loss. The days after that were much easier. No tricks, no crowds. However, Kyushu Technology's booth was still full of people, especially when Luo Yunjia opened the dishwasher, exposing the mechanical arm to everyone and washing the dishes. It reached a small climax. On the spot, several middle-aged elder brothers asked them if they could buy it now. The anticipation in their eyes really made everyone who heard it sad. It's a pity that Boss Gu hasn't even confirmed the price, so how could it be possible to sell it now? However, in their lost eyes, they learned that the product will be available on 3 platforms during the November day, and their eyes regained their spirits. 11, right? Can you give us a business card link or something? Will it be pre-sale by then? Is the volume sufficient? What is the approximate price? How long is the warranty? Do you support returns and exchanges within 7 days without reason? A bunch of questions made Boss Gu, the speaker, feel paralyzed. However, these middle-aged elder brothers did remind a lot of problems, so Boss Gu created a group chat on the spot, and named the group for these elder brothers who don't want to do housework to join, and named it Family Who Loves Each Other. It is said that girls chat very quickly, swiping the screen every minute, but after joining the group, this group of elders also poured water crazily, reaching 99+ in minutes, and some elder brothers even drove secretly. After being detected by Xuanwu, Gu Qing immediately set up a mode that only allows administrators to speak. If the first company's customer base is blown up by driving, it will be a stain on the company's history. How could Mr. Gu let it go? Due to the hard work of relevant units in Pudong and the push of news from all parties, the expo has been full of people in the past few days, and Gu Qingjin's group just happened to be full of 2,000 people. From an optimistic point of view, that is at least 2,000 pre-orders, and there are even purchases of sets. That is, thousands of shipments are prepared. A few days later, the expo ended. Since the budget was still left, Boss Gu invited everyone to spend a cool night before heading back home, get on the bullet train, because everyone didn't make a fuss because they exhausted their energy yesterday. It wasn't until they returned to Rongcheng and the factory that everyone breathed a sigh of relief, and Boss Gu was very considerate and gave everyone a 1-week-long vacation, so that everyone was just relieved, and brought it up again. Great! Chapter 38 Memory Trifles. You are listening at novelfull.audio. For young people who have just graduated a few years ago, the future prospects of work and the level of salary are very important, but most of them will also value another indicator: holidays, or their own time and space. As soon as the contract was signed, they entered a state of intense research and development. In the past 2 months, the research team members of the 2 projects had to work overtime and did not take any vacation. Of course, overtime pay is sufficient, and the income at the end of each month basically starts at 10,000, with money in his purse and time for vacation. Gu Qing went back to the factory to have a meeting with the managers. After dusk, people from the two project research teams ran away, and the rest were dealing with some finishing touches. Arrange things. Boss Gu sat on the seat in the factory, looking at the starry sky after dusk, and felt a moment of peace in his heart. Finally, everything is on the right track, and the next step is to continue to use the technology of the Guardians to make money, and then expand the site, repair factories, and increase industrial projects, and strive to get a mature and complete body of the mecha as soon as possible. The past 6 months have been really tiring. There are a lot of things to do. But he is very tired. Now in the corner of the square where there is no one around, the afterglow of the setting sun shines on people. Gu Qing unconsciously fell asleep. Occasionally, an employee passed by, but when he saw that it was his boss, he thought it was closed eyes and deep thought, so he didn't dare to disturb him, and then hurried away. But it wasn't long before Gu Qing's cell phone vibrated. Not many people know his private number. Rubbing his dizzy head, he picked up the phone and looked. It wasn't someone's call, but a reminder from Xuanwu. Sir, Hansung's internal meeting has been discussed and a preliminary intention has been reached. At the end of December this year, a fire will be created at Hansung Electronics chip factory in Weizong, Jiangsu. Below is the video of the meeting and the details of the project. Seeing this news, Gu Qing's expression was shocked, and his head was still a little confused, but he immediately woke up. Tuegue, you set your factory on fire in Daxia in March, and your local factory in December to avoid suspicion. However, Gao Ligua raised the price of memory by burning the factory. Relying on his world's largest shipments, he is simply sitting on the ground and stealing money. If there is another wave of burning in December, won't the price of memory take off completely? His mind, which was still sober, became a little dizzy when he thought about Gao Ligua's affairs, but December is still more than 100 days away from August now, so this matter is not too urgent. Well, it's useless to be in a hurry. After all, he wants money and has no money, and equipment but no equipment, and even if you have money, you can't get this equipment, at least not in a short time. Because manufacturing memory also requires chips, the process of producing memory sticks can be summarized into 2 parts: memory chip manufacturing and particle welding and packaging. The manufacturing of memory particles is similar to the manufacturing process of most chips. The first step is to smelt and purify silicon dioxide, a well-known raw material, into pure silicon to make silicon single crystal ingots, and then slice it into wafer substrates. Then, there is the doping process, ion implantation, which exposes the substrate material to impurities of the opposite type through the solid-state diffusion mechanism, hybridizing the original intrinsic semiconductor lattice, and forming a p-n junction structure. Similarly, different impurities are added to different positions of the silicon wafer, and different impurities form field effect transistors according to the concentration/position. The next step is the process of photolithography etching circuit. And this step, the gap between all manufacturers in Daxia and first-tier manufacturers like Samsung, is an exaggeration to say that there is a world of difference, but it is a lot in line with the physical strength of a 14-year-old boy and a 20-year-old youth. Daxia's 17-year microelectronics production technology is still second and third-rate. It has entered the industry but cannot achieve the top-level high-tech, and it is still a step behind in terms of design and manufacturing. It's really hard for a clever woman to cook without rice. Do you really want me to attack Gao Ligua's banking system and cause a financial collapse? Some dangerous thoughts swirled in Gu Qing's mind, but they were strangled to death not long after. From a technical point of view, this can be done, and he is even sure that others will not find the culprit, or find a designated culprit. However, Korea's financial collapse will definitely trigger a financial crisis, and even fluctuate to Daxia: injure the enemy 1,000, injure yourself 100. Forget it. However, after the evil idea was suppressed, a new idea appeared, which was even more feasible. Didn't Han Xing want to catch fire? Then let it stay. Small fights are not counted. If you want to burn it, just burn it to your heart's content. When the fire will soar into the sky and explode in a row, it would be good to let these dogs vomit some blood. To complete this plan, Xuanwu is capable, and of course it must cooperate with force. In Dimension Empire's Titanium Technology series, there are several models of robots that are very suitable for this kind of thing. So, the most urgent thing is to sell smart home appliances, earn money quickly, and then make special materials to make them, when the time comes. Look at the stick and steal the chicken without losing money, The problem was solved. Boss Gu crossed his legs and enjoyed the evening breeze. "Hey, who's that over there?" A loud voice broke the quiet atmosphere. During off-duty hours, don't hang around and hang around. Holding the flashlight, Fu Dalong walked step by step towards the figure whose back was facing him. This afternoon, the managers held a meeting with the big boss. After the meeting, it was announced that the factory employees would be on a unified holiday, and those on the front line of production would be given a 3-day holiday. As for their security department, not only were they not given a holiday, they were also forced to work overtime. Of course, the security department basically has no complaints. After all, there are double wages and vacations, so when you meet this person who is still staying in the factory area after nightfall, you must be cautious. His right hand was already placed on his waist. If this person made any abnormal movements, Fu Dalong would definitely let the other party see it, and use the electric strike stick to hit the windy stick method. The silent and dark field of vision was instantly illuminated by light, and Gu Qing subconsciously covered his eyes. "It's me." Under the pale light, Boss Gu covered his eyes with his right hand and turned around. Fu Dalong was stunned for a moment before he came to his senses and hurriedly adjusted the brightness of the flashlight. "Mr. Gu. Ah, you turned your back to me just now, and you really didn't see clearly. Oh. I dimmed the lights, so I can open my eyes." Boss Gu frowned, and slowly withdrew his right hand. In the field of vision, Fu Dalong was already standing beside him, with a little apology in his stiff expression. "It's okay, you are serious and responsible at work. Are you working night shift tonight?" Gu Qing asked. Fu Dalong smiled honestly and said, "Isn't this a holiday in the factory? Director Luo told our security department not to dawdling around and doing foreign work. P.S. Thank you for the recommendation ticket and monthly ticket. After 2 days without recommendation, I can only live by everyone's tickets. Woo woo woo." Chapter 39 Filming. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A product. From its birth to its final sale, Boss Gu did not go through the specific process one by one, but fortunately, Xuanwu has materials to guide the teaching. Market analysis, industry segmentation, and preliminary positioning were all taken away in one stroke, because Boss Gu had already made an early plan. No matter how other competitors in the industry were, he would leave, of course, despise the opponent strategically, and should pay attention to the opponent tactically. The reason for being taken over is because Xuanwu is too capable, which has been investigated and concluded long ago. Therefore, the target users, product planning, and profit model. Boss Gu spent a long time studying the information, but still, gave up using his brain. Where are the target users located? Let go and unlock the 2,000-person groups created earlier, and you can see a very clear positioning. Speaking of which, it's not good to be locked up for a long time. Let's post a voting post and suggest an email channel. When the boss moved his mouth, Xuanwu broke his leg in a hurry. A few seconds later, the elders of the two groups received relevant announcements. After a few minutes, it is suggested that the mailbox will start +1+1+1+1+1. However, these enthusiastic customers do not know that it is not employees who review letters but an artificial intelligence with no emotions. "Sir, there is one thing mentioned in an email. You need to pay attention to the shooting of advertisements. These promotional materials are about to be put on the agenda. They will also be used on platforms such as Taobei and Jingdong in the future." Xuanwu, collecting and sorting out information like a housekeeper, made Boss Gu a lot easier. Of course, Dongqi and Bloomberg will not be easy. The communication was communicated by Boss Gu through the boundary monument, internal communication, but it turned out that it was shouted out in the office of the incubator. "Advertising? No money." Vice President Dong looked indifferent, and then said, "A group of people in your factory went to Pudong to spend all their budget on eating, drinking, and having fun. Now you still need to find finance to get several million for advertising. No money, even hundreds of thousands. Shooting commercials generally requires a crew to shoot, but the cost of bringing a family and a group of people, as well as equipment, must be included." Xuanwu also did a market survey. A film of about 30 seconds, plus the director's fee, is about 100,000 yuan, but this is a very common quotation from an advertising company. If it is a big company, there is no upper limit, and the lower limit is 300,000 yuan. Rise, for the Kyushu Technology Company whose finances are not healthy yet, Dong Qi made it very clear, if you want money, you don't have it, but, Xuanwu, still thoughtfully prepared a poverty plan for his master. In that case, I'll transfer a few people from the company's office staff and the factory, and we can borrow the equipment and spend a few days by ourselves to shoot commercials. Boss Gu said the cheapest plan. Dong Qi frowned, calculated the budget in his mind, and then nodded in agreement. 10,000 yuan is enough for the rent, and the rest is 1,000 yuan for your food expenses. Enough, I'm going to call someone now, finish the filming early, and put it on our official website early. Boss Gu stood up and walked towards the office area immediately. As an old driver, he once had a dream, to make a film. Cough cough cough, it's the kind of normal film that doesn't need coding, don't get it wrong. When I ran to the office area, some of the flooding army had turned into customer service. I have to say, thanks to the crazy watering experience some time ago, this group of handsome guys responded to customers with code words at a very fast speed, while typing on the keyboard. Okay, I can scratch my back at the same time. However, as the king of irrigation, the little king next door is still doing his own business, visiting the forum post bar, and posting about the hydrology of Boundary Monument. From time to time, I don't know how many times he drove the car for his friends. None of these friends ever doubted the identity of the Xiao Wang next door, and even admired him, but the more this is the case, the less Gu Qing intends to let the young man Wang Ting change his job or leave his job. Otherwise, it will be unimaginable that the company relies on driving to attract traffic in the future. It is a kind of damage to the company's image and his personal image. Wang Teng, Wen Sanhuai, you don't have to do it anymore. Boss Gu's words made the sound of typing on the keyboard all around stop. The two parties involved, Wang Teng and Wen Sanhuai, were even more dazed. What are you doing here? Fired? Seeing that the two people were not in the right state, the vicious Boss Gu pretended not to care and continued. There are 3 days of public work, shooting commercials for the company, including food and lodging, and the opportunity to live with beautiful women. You two are willing to suffer. Down. What? Food and lodging included. Cohabitation with beautiful women. He didn't understand what he was doing at all, so Wang Ting agreed with his mouth. Thank you for the organization's trust, Xiao Wang will definitely do a good job. When Sanhuai came back to his senses and nodded in agreement. Okay, let's deal with the matter at hand, and wait for others at the gate of our factory in the suburbs at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay. X2. The two young men nodded and agreed, with a little excitement in their expressions. They have never lived with a strange beauty since they grew up, and they have never even thought about making commercials. Wang Ting's mind was filled with infinite reverie, and the beauty smiled back. Woohoo, still living together, woohoo. When other colleagues around heard that such a good thing was given to Wang Tang and the other two, they felt a little regretful. Damn, how could such a good thing get these two criticisms in turn? In order not to provoke public anger, after the big boss left, Wang Tang and Wen Sanhuai, who was at the same table, approached Minister Huang of the Operation Department to ask for leave and slipped out of the company. At this time, Gu Qing has already contacted the two project teams at the factory. Zhang Tianhao and Luo Yunjia will naturally be the leaders, and then there are two scientific research girls who usually work hard. After the personnel are done, the next step is the equipment. Xuanwu, I have already shopped around and contacted the equipment. Gu Qing felt that he was capable of directing, screenwriting, etc., so he didn't need other people to join in. There is no need for makeup, recording, post-production, stage management, props, etc. Conditions are limited, everything is kept simple, and, Xuanwu, will do it for me in the later stage. Moreover, the scene affairs and props are all ready-made. After all, the commercial film I made is not a 4K blockbuster. Gu Qing's script also contains some homely scenes, and special effects such as fighting horses are not used, but thinking of the script, writer Gu is still very optimistic. 3 o'clock in the afternoon, outside the gate of the Kyushu Smart Home Appliance Manufacturing Factory, the film crew successfully assembled for the first time, being specially invited to come to Luo Songtang, I was still a little confused. Although he already knew at this moment what Boss Gu was borrowing his house. 4. Mr. Gu, do you really have to shoot commercials at my house? Luo Songtang whispered in Gu Qing's ear. Yes, Uncle Luo won't disagree. Recently, our company's funds are a little tight, and you know it. If the time can't be missed, then it's not impossible for me to rent a suite for a few days. Chapter 40. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Really let the big boss go out to rent a house for filming? How can it be? Then I'll call my family and let me know. Luo Songtang nodded in agreement, then walked to the side of the road outside the gate and made a phone call. Well, they are all young people, so don't be socially afraid. Gu Qing greeted the researcher of the project team and Wang Tang, the two big water ratios, to get to know each other. The two girls were naturally introduced emphatically. It's relatively quiet, the one wearing glasses is called Song Yuding, and this big girl with orchid temperament is called Li Lan. Hello. Therefore, Jianqing fell into the mortal world, and there is a high probability that the society fears death and stays silent. Wang Tang and the two fit this setting very well. In the Forum Post Bar, they are veteran drivers of irrigation, and they drive when they disagree. In reality, when you say hello to a girl and shake hands, you become gentle. It's just that Gu Qing caught a glimpse of a certain little king's ears starting to turn red. Well, maybe the sun is too big and hot. On the other side, Luo Songtang came over after making the phone call, with a relaxed expression, and even a little strange initiative. Mr. Gu, please post the script. I'll see if there is anything in my family that needs to be rectified. Oh, don't tell me I forgot about it. Everyone, open Boundary Monument, and scan my QR code to join the group. There are managers in the group who will send scripts, lines, and scene settings to everyone. Everyone scanned the QR code to join the group one by one, and began to read the script. The shooting location was in someone else's home, but everyone was very cautious, but Gu Qing was the only one with a thick skin. He not only expropriated his subordinate's house because he was the boss, but also forced his subordinate's wife to make a film. What a horrible villain, but Mrs. Luo, a middle-aged woman with a red rose-like charm, smiled and agreed. Is it an advertisement for the home appliances in the factory? No problem, do you need me to dress up? And Mrs. Luo's husband, Luo Songtang, didn't expect his boss to jump in his mind and add to the plot. Just like this, another paragraph has been added to the script of the advertisement, but the main body has not changed. As a nephew, Wang Ting plays the boy Luo Songtang in the play. He likes to play games, and often goes out to play games without doing housework with his buddy Wen Sanhuai. Then he became an adult, after being severely beaten by the society. The camera turned and Luo Songtang acted in his true colors, eating at the same table with his wife. After the meal, Mrs. Luo left the table and left the cleaning task order, and went out to play mahjong. Facing the plates and garbage on the table, as well as the dirty floor made by the pets at home, Mrs. Luo sighed deeply. Tone. Patter. The door was closed, and he was a middle-aged man left in the family, looking at the computer in the corner of the living room. He recalled the gaming years when he was a teenager, and his expression was full of reminiscence and emotion. Then he turned over, took out the small sweeper hidden in the storage room, pressed the switch, and then ran to the kitchen to open the locked cabinet at the bottom, which was useless. The logo of Kyushu Technology on the glass window came into view. Open the glass window door, throw in the pile of plates and rice bowl garbage on the dining table, and then close the glass window. At this moment, Luo Songtang washed his clean hands with a happy expression, walked to the corner of the living room, and turned on the computer. The familiar game sound sounded in the earphones, and the middle-aged man seemed to have returned to the old days. The sweeping robot in the living room is intelligently cleaning, and the dishwasher in the kitchen is also working silently. As a commercial film, this script is actually very ordinary, and the shots in the play don't even need special effects. So except for the installation of the dishwasher and the locator in the room, it took only 2 hours to finish shooting the footage. This is due to the fact that Gu Qing, as the boss of both Party A and Party B, has a relaxed threshold for reviewing films. Then the 4 RD personnel sat in the living room where the advertisement was shot, and narrated some stories that happened during product development. For the harmony of the family, for the care of our women's hands. For the harmony of the family, and for us to keep us men from bending over. Even mopping the floor and washing the dishes will not crush you. That it was obviously a somewhat dignified interview video, but at the end, Qing asked him to shout some shameful slogans. This level wasted a lot of time, however, it went smoothly, and it only took half a day in 3 days, which is not unpleasant. The rest of the time will be considered as a holiday for you, but Zhang Tianhao and your RD personnel still have the previous holiday time. These 3 days will make up for the Spring Festival holiday. Well, the remaining 1,000 yuan, I will treat you tonight. Mr. Gu, what about the dishwashers and robots in the window? Luo Songtang wanted to ask for a long time and send them back to the factory. Well, Lao Luo, I can trust you, so let's take it as a reward from the factory, lest you have to do housework when you go home, and you can give some feedback during this time. With a big wave of his hand, Boss Gu took the equipment and led a group of people back to the factory in a mighty manner. After putting down the things in his hands, he invited everyone to have a hot pot meal. The editing work was handed over to Xuanwu, and filter effects were added at the same time. After the final full version of the finished product came out, Boss Gu was still cooking mutton, put the fresh mutton slices into the hot red oil pot a few times, picked them up and put them in the dipping plate, covered with sesame oil, shallots and chili noodles, with the taste of oyster sauce and a little vinegar to stimulate the unique spicy aroma. Chuanshu hot pot is for people to eat comfortably and enjoy. The next thing to do is to step up production and start marketing and publicity at the same time. Although the 3 e-commerce platforms have signed the contract, there will be a certain amount of exposure to promote their own products, but Qing can't believe the face of the capitalists. That kind of promotion position is definitely not worth mentioning, and it is even a small position that is easily overlooked. The law is the lowest moral standard that binds people, and so is the contract. As long as the agreed minimum treaty is fulfilled, the contract is fulfilled. However, the self-media during the days of the expo gave some news reports, allowing Qing to pick up a cheap tap water flow, but no announcement means that no one will pay attention, and no one will pay attention to it means that no one will buy the product. What can we do at this time? Fortunately, the company has raised a group of sailors who can, want, love, money. Although the promotion effect of this kind of household appliances will not be very good, it is better than nothing. What if there are so many boring and rich middle-aged people who like to visit the post-bar forum? Then it's time to set the price. How can we do promotional activities? After years of various sales activities, consumers have reached a consensus that pricing is not selling price, and discounts are not discounts. Cash red envelope vouchers, discounts, and so on are the simplest addition, subtraction, multiplication and division.